Good morning. This is Kent Blaylock with SDG Bible Study. That's the SOLI DEO GLORIA Bible Study coming to you on this Wednesday morning, April the 16th, 2025. It's hard to believe we're already halfway through the month of April. Time sure does fly. And just thankful to be up this morning reading God's Word as we continue in the reading of the Everyday Gospel by Paul David Tripp. We're going to be in 3 chapters this morning. In First Kings, we're going to be in, I believe, 12, 13, and 14 this morning. So join me as we read God's Word together. First Kings chapter 12. Then Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had come to Shechem to make him king. And it happened when Jeroboam the son of Nebat heard of it, he was living in Egypt, for he was yet in Egypt, where he fled from the presence of King Solomon. Then they sent and called for him, and Jeroboam and all the assembly of Israel came and spoke to Rehoboam, saying, Your father made our yoke harsh, but you now lighten the harsh service of your father and his heavy yoke, which he put on us, and we will serve you. Then he said to them, Go for 3 days, then return to me. So the people went away. Then King Rehoboam took counsel with the elders who had stood before his father Solomon while he was still alive, saying, How do you counsel me to respond to this people? And they spoke to him, saying, If you will be a servant to this people today, and will serve them and grant them their petition, and speak good words to them, then they will be your servants forever. But he forsook the counsel of the elders which they had counseled him, and took counsel with the young men who grew up with him and stood before him. So he said to them, What counsel do you give that we may respond to this people who have spoken to me, saying, Lighten the yoke which your father put on us? Then the young men who grew up with him spoke to him, saying, Thus you shall say to this people who spoke to you, saying, Your father made our yoke heavy, now you make it lighter for us. Thus you shall speak to them, My little finger is thicker than my father's loins. So now my father loaded you with a heavy yoke, but I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined with you whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam on the 3rd day, as the king had spoken, saying, Return to me on the 3rd day. And the king answered the people harshly, and he forsook the counsel of the elders, which they had given him. And he spoke to them according to the counsel of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. So the king did not listen to the people, for it was a turn of events from Yahweh, that he might establish his word, which Yahweh spoke through Ahijah the Shilonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Then all Israel saw that the king did not listen to them, so the people responded to the king with this word, saying, What portion do we have in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to your own house, David. So Israel went to their tents. But as for the sons of Israel who lived in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam said to Adoram, who was over the forced labor, and all Israel stoned him. Then let me read that again. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the forced labor, and all Israel stoned him, and he died. And King Rehoboam made haste to mount his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. Now it happened when all Israel heard that Jeroboam had returned, that they sent and called him to the congregation and made him king over all Israel. None but the tribe of Judah followed the house of David. Then Rehoboam came to Jerusalem and assembled all the house of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 chosen men who could wage war to fight against the house of Israel to return the kingdom to Rehoboam the son of Solomon. But the word of God came to Shemaiah, the man of God, saying, Speak to Rehoboam the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and to all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the rest of the people, saying, Thus says Yahweh, you shall not go up and fight against your brothers, the sons of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. So they listened to the word of Yahweh and returned to go their way according to the word of Yahweh. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim and lived there, and he went out from there and built Peniel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now the kingdom will return to the house of David. This people go up to offer sacrifices in the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem. Then the heart of this people will return to their Lord, even to Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they will kill me and return to Rehoboam, king of Judah. So the king took counsel and made 2 golden calves, and he said to them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold your gods, O Israel, that brought you up from the land of Egypt. He set one in Bethel, and one he put in Dan. Now this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one as far as Dan. And he made houses on high places, and made priests from among all the people who were not of the sons of Levi. And Jeroboam made feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like the feast which is in Judah. And he went up to the altar. Thus he did in Bethel, to sacrifice to the calves which he had made. And he had the priests of the high places, which he had made, stand in Bethel. Then he went up to the altar which he had made in Bethel on the 15th day in the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised in his own heart. And he made a feast for the sons of Israel, and went up to the altar to burn incense. Out of chapter 13. Now behold, there came a man of God from Judah to Bethel by the word of Yahweh, while Jeroboam was standing by the altar to burn incense. And he cried against the altar by the word of Yahweh, and said, O altar, altar, thus says Yahweh, behold, a son shall be born to the house of David. Josiah is his name, and on you he shall sacrifice the priest of the high places who burn incense on you, and human bones shall be burned on you. Then he gave a miraculous sign the same day, saying, This is the miraculous sign which Yahweh has spoken. Behold, the altar shall be torn apart, and the ashes which are on it shall be poured out. Now it happened that when the king heard the word of the man of God, which he cried against the altar in Bethel, Jeroboam stretched out his hand from the altar, saying, Seize him. But his hand which he stretched out against him dried up, so that he could not draw it back to himself. The altar also was torn apart, and the ashes were poured out from the altar, according to the miraculous sign which the man of God had given by the word of Yahweh. Then the king answered and said to the man of God, Please entreat Yahweh your God, and pray for me, that my hand may be restored to me. So the man of God entreated Yahweh, and the king's hand was restored to him, and it became as it was before. Then the king said to the man of God, Come home with me and refresh yourself, and I will give you a gift. But the man of God said to the king, If you were to give me half your house, I would not go with you, nor would I eat bread or drink water in this place. For so it was commanded me by the word of Yahweh, saying, You shall eat no bread, nor drink water, nor return by the way which you came. So he went another way, and did not return by the way which he came to Bethel. Now an old prophet was living in Bethel, and his sons came and recounted to him all the work which the man of God had done that day in Bethel, the words which he had spoken to the king. These also they recounted to their father. And their father said to them, Which way did he go? And his sons had seen the way which the man of God who came from Judah had gone. Then he said to his sons, Saddle the donkey for me. So they saddled the donkey for him and rode away on it. So he went after the man of God and found him sitting under an oak. And he said to him, Are you the man of God who came from Judah? And he said, I am. Then he said to him, Come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I cannot return with you, nor go with you, nor will I eat bread or drink water with you in this place. For a word came to me by the word of Yahweh, You shall eat no bread, nor drink water there. Do not return by going the way which you came. And he said to him, I also am a prophet like you, and an angel spoke to me by the word of Yahweh, saying, Bring him back with you to your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he dealt falsely with him. So he went back with him and ate bread in his house and drank water. Now it happened, as they were sitting down at the table, that the word of Yahweh came to the prophet who had brought him back. And he called out to the man of God who came from Judah, saying, Thus says Yahweh, because you have rebelled against the word of Yahweh and have not kept the commandment which Yahweh your God commanded you, but have returned and eaten bread and drunk water in the place of which he said to you, Eat no bread and drink no water, your body shall not come to the grave of your fathers. Now it happened after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk, that he saddled the donkey for him, for the prophet whom he had brought back. Then he went, and on the way a lion met him and put him to death, and his body was thrown on the road with the donkey standing beside it. The lion also was standing beside the body. Behold, men passed by and saw the body thrown on the road, and the lion standing beside the body. So they came and spoke about it in the city where the old prophet lived. Then the prophet who brought him back from the way heard it and said, It is the man of God who rebelled against the command of Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh has given him to the lion, which has mauled him and put him to death, according to the word of Yahweh which he spoke to him. Then he spoke to his sons, saying, Saddle the donkey for me. And they saddled it. He went and found his body thrown on the road with the donkey and the lion standing beside the body. The lion had not eaten the body nor mauled the donkey. So the prophet took up the body of the man of God and laid it on the donkey and brought it back. And he came to the city of the old prophet to mourn and to bury him. He laid his body in his own grave, and they mourned over him, saying, Alas, my brother. Now it happened after that he had buried him, that he spoke to his son, saying, When I die, you shall bury me in the grave in which the man of God is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones. For the word shall surely happen, which he cried by the word of Yahweh against the altar in Bethel, and against all the houses of the high places which are in the cities of Samaria. After this event, Jeroboam did not return from his evil way, but he returned and made priests of the high places from among all the people, and who delighted to be so, he ordained. Any who delighted to be so, he ordained. So they became priests of the high places. And this event became sin to the house of Jeroboam, even to blot it out and destroy it from the face of the earth. Now to chapter 14. At that time, Abijah, the son of Jeroboam, became sick. And Jeroboam said to his wife, Arise now and disguise yourself, so that they will not know that you are the wife of Jeroboam, and go to Shiloh. Behold, Abijah, the son of Jeroboam, became sick. Ahijah the prophet is there, who spoke concerning me that I would be king over his people. And take 10 loaves with you, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you what will happen to the boy. Then Jeroboam's wife did so, and arose and went to Shiloh, and came to the house of Ahijah. Now Ahijah could not see, for his eyes had set because of his old age. Now Yahweh had said to Ahijah, Behold, the wife of Jeroboam is coming to inquire of you concerning her son, for he is sick. You shall say thus and thus to her, for it will be when she arrives that she will pretend to be another woman. Now it happened, as Ahijah heard the sound of her feet coming in the doorway, that he said, Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why do you pretend to be another woman? For I am sent to you with a harsh message. Go say to Jeroboam, Thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, because I exalted you from among the people and made you ruler over my people Israel, and tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to you, yet you have not been like my servant David, who kept my commandments and who walked after me with all his heart, to do only that which was right in my sight. You also have done more evil than all who were before you, and have gone and made for yourself other gods and molten images to provoke me to anger, and have cast me behind your back. Therefore, behold, I am bringing evil on the house of Jeroboam. I will cut off from Jeroboam every male person, both bond and free, in Israel. And I will make a clean sweep of the house of Jeroboam as one sweeps away dung until it is all gone. Anyone belonging to Jeroboam who dies in the city, the dogs will eat. And he who dies in the field, the birds of the sky will eat, for Yahweh has spoken it. But you, arise, go to your house. When your feet enter the city, the child will die. And all Israel shall mourn for him and bury him, for he alone of Jeroboam's family will come to the grave, because in him something good was found toward Yahweh, the God of Israel, in the house of Jeroboam. Moreover, Yahweh will raise up for himself a king over Israel, who will cut off the house of Jeroboam this day and from now on. So Yahweh will strike Israel as a reed is shaken in the water, and he will uproot Israel from this good land which he gave to their fathers, and will scatter them beyond the river, because they have made their Asherim, provoking Yahweh to anger. And he will give Israel over on account of the sins of Jeroboam, which he sinned, and which he made Israel to sin. Then Jeroboam's wife arose and went away and came to Tirzah. As she was entering the threshold of the house, the child died. And all Israel buried him and mourned for him according to the word of Yahweh, which he spoke through his servant Ahijah the prophet. Now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, how he made war and how he reigned, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Now the time that Jeroboam reigned was 22 years, and he slept with his fathers, and Nadab, his son, became king in his place. Now Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, became king in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which Yahweh had chosen from all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah the Ammonitess. And Judah did what was evil in the sight of Yahweh, and they provoked him to jealousy more than all their fathers had done with the sins which they sinned. They also built for themselves high places and sacred pillars and Asherim on every high hill and beneath every green tree. They were also male cult prostitutes in the land. They did according to all the abominations of the nations which Yahweh dispossessed before the sons of Israel. Now it happened in the 5th year of King Rehoboam that Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem. And he took the treasures of the house of Yahweh and the treasures of the king's house, and he took everything. He even took all the shields of gold which Solomon had made. Then King Rehoboam made shields of bronze in their place and committed them into the hand of the commanders of the guard who kept the door of the king's house. Now it happened as often as the king entered the house of Yahweh that the guards would carry them and would bring them back into the guard's room. Now the rest of the acts of Rehoboam and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Now there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all their days. And Rehoboam slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And his mother's name was Naamah the Ammonitess, and Abijam, his son, became king in his place. Now that's going to conclude our reading from the biblical text. Now the devotional. No idol is more seductive, deceptive, or attractive than the idol of self. A couple came to me for counseling because their marriage was a war zone. Normal conversations became verbal duels for power. They went after each other's motives, character, choices, and actions in a way that were deeply personal and hurtful. It was hard to find any area in their marriage that wasn't a battleground. They claimed to be believers and they went to a pretty good church, but there was no God in their marriage. Because there was no God in their marriage, there was no higher agenda than the wishes and happiness of self. Their marriage ethics were set by the Lord of self. Selfishness ruled every aspect of their relationship. They were exhausted and discouraged, but never considered that hope for their marriage would be found not in attacking one another, but in together attacking the idol that was at the core of all their problems. Idol worship rears its ugly and destructive head early in the biblical story. In Genesis 3, Adam and Eve disobey God because they want to be like him. Worship of self rather than the worship of God is the occasion of the very first sin on earth. Self worship is the sad, discordant note that sounds throughout the entire biblical narrative. The great spiritual war is between the holy throne of God and the unholy deifying of self. Trying to grab a puppy here. Every act of vertical disobedience and horizontal cruelty is rooted in the dethroning of God and the enthroning of self. We see this clearly in 1 Kings chapter 12, verses 25 through 29. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim and lived there. And he went out from there and built Peniel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now the kingdom will turn back to the house of David. If this people go up to offer sacrifices in the temple of the Lord at Jerusalem, then the heart of this people will turn again to their Lord, to Rehoboam, king of Judah. And they will kill me and return to Rehoboam, king of Judah. So the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold. And he said to the people, you have gone up to Jerusalem long enough. Behold your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And he set one in Bethel, and the other he put in Dan. The kingdom is now divided. Jeroboam is king of Israel, and Rehoboam is king of Judah. It is shocking to see Jeroboam set up calves of gold for his people to worship. But it is even more shocking to hear him credit these idols with the deliverance of the people of God out of slavery. However, if this is all you see in the passage, you miss its deeper warning. Jeroboam sets up this idol worship so that his people will no longer go to Jerusalem to worship. He is afraid of losing power. At the core of this religious idolatry is the idol of self. This account stands as a warning to us. May God in grace free us from our bondage to ourselves. Let's read Jeremiah 17, verses 5 through 10. Thus says Yahweh, cursed is the man who trusts in mankind and makes flesh his strength, and whose heart turns away from Yahweh. And he will be like a juniper in the desert, and will not see when prosperity comes, but will dwell in stony waste in the wilderness, a land of salt, which is not inhabited. Blessed is the man who trusts in Yahweh, and whose trust is Yahweh. And he will be like a tree planted by the water, that sends forth its roots by a stream, and will not fear when the heat comes. But its leaves will be green, and it will not be anxious in a year of drought, nor refrain from yielding fruit. The heart is more deceitful than all else, and is desperately sick. Who can know it? I, Yahweh, search the heart. I test the inmost being, even to give to each man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds. And that's going to conclude our reading from the devotional this morning. And so thankful for this reading this morning and a reminder of the sinful idol of self and how most of our problems, when they arise in our disobedience or towards God, is because of the idol of self. We want the things to go the way that we want them to go. And it's tragic now. We see a divided kingdom because of the sins of Solomon. We now have a divided kingdom between Judah and the other, the one tribe of Judah and the other tribes of Israel. And they're divided. You got Jeroboam and Rehoboam. And I know it gets confusing. Okay, who's who? We'll try to keep up with that. But it's a tragedy. And we see here both kings choosing foolishly because of the idol of self. Don't worship yourself this morning. Worship our great God. Worship our great God this morning. Let him be central and foremost in your heart and mind. I hope you will enjoy the day ahead and give God the glory in it. Soli Deo Gloria.